Hi, this is Heidi, episode 54, How to Stop People Pleasing. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Well, hello, welcome back. I am so glad you're here. Episode 54, on our way to 100, but just one fun episode at a time. I love creating these episodes, and I appreciate all the feedback. I love knowing that even though I'm creating it now in the summer of 2020, I know I'll have a client who will need this exact topic next year and probably the year after. I'm always sending links to previous episodes that talk about an exact issue that a client or a friend or someone needs right now. And please continue to rate and review in iTunes. Today's episode is about people pleasing, like what it is and how to stop it. People pleasing is the art of trying to control other people's emotions or doing things, saying things, agreeing or not agreeing to things, thinking it will make other people feel a certain way, and at the expense of our own emotions or our own needs. Now, I have to say, probably everyone I've coached has said, yes, I'm a big people pleaser, or I'm trying to work on this. And I join all of them and all of you that in the past I have totally been a people pleaser. I've done a lot of work to clean up my mind and my emotions around this. And honestly, I think I'm going to be doing it forever. So I want to be clear on what people pleasing is in the way that I'm talking about it today and what it's not. Let's say you have a job and your boss gives you clear instructions of what needs to get done and how she likes things done. It's going to benefit you and the boss, most likely, to try to follow those instructions so she's happy and you're happy. Now, there are, of course, situations where someone at work wants you to do things that are not in line with your integrity. That's different. But in most cases, we do want to find out how to act and perform to meet the requirements of a job. Now, if the boss is happy or not with what we do, that's also up to them. Same in marriage and friendships. It's good and healthy and mature for us to act in ways that are kind and compassionate and empathetic. And in many instances, the other person will be happy with us. My husband knows that I like our bed made, and if I'm out of town, he makes sure and points out to me that he made it before I returned. Now, this is him being kind and considerate, but he doesn't do it at the expense of his own well-being. It's totally in line with what he wants to do, who he wants to be. Now, in both a marriage, friendships, and in work relationships, we can dip into people pleasing. In fact, we might find this type of behavior can really be a problem in any relationship. And seriously, if you can work on it in just one area, you'll find ripple effects of how you can control it in other areas. So, as I said earlier, people pleasing is us being dishonest with other people. It's us lying about what we want, what we need, in an effort to control and manipulate what other people think and feel. So this becomes a problem when we don't show up with integrity of who we want to be. So using the self-coaching model that I've taught you, and if you haven't listened to episode 1, you can hear what the model is that I use to help clients get awareness of what they're experiencing in life. We break down every experience into circumstances, which are the only thing that we don't have control over. We then have thoughts about circumstances, all the things going on around us in life, which create feelings inside our bodies, and these feelings fuel our actions. And the accumulation of all of our actions or inactions create the results we have in our life. When we're showing up in integrity, the result of our actions is not to manipulate other people. Our result is to feel good about how we are showing up. Because, and I teach this over and over again, and I need to remind myself daily, we don't have control over what other people think and feel. We really don't. We want to think we do, and we might have gathered evidence over the years that we can control people. We give children candy and they're happy, usually. As parents, we do use candy in TV shows and media to toddler please, right? Oh heavens, yes we do. I did. And I didn't feel good about it though when the candy and the media were over the limit of what I had determined I wanted to give them for the day. I was uncomfortable with them being disappointed or mad, so I gave them extra to make them happy. So here is a simplistic toddler example of one reason why we people please. We don't like watching other people have negative emotions. We don't like to see our teenagers disappointed. We don't like to have screaming toddlers. We don't like an angry boss. We don't like insecure friends and so on. But we don't like it because we start making it mean something's gone wrong. We forget that having negative emotion is going to be roughly 50% of our life if we're living a full human experience. In fact, feeling disappointed and stressed and rejected is what allows us to appreciate and fully enjoy being happy and proud and excited. So many times, another person feeling negative is not a signal that something is wrong or that something needs to be fixed. A year or so ago, my daughter was given a gift, and as her mother, I could sense that she was really disappointed. She did an incredibly good job, very maturely, of managing her emotions when she was given the gift. I started making it mean that something had gone wrong in my head. I wanted her to be happy with her gift. I found myself getting sad that she was disappointed, almost me mirroring her emotions, and I started wanting to fix it. I came up with ways in my mind to take away her disappointment. Then all of a sudden, I saw what I was doing. My biggest problem was I didn't like her being disappointed. I sat myself down in my room and with some serious self-coaching, I repeated over and over to myself, it's a good life lesson for her to be disappointed right now. She and I had a talk about it, and she very maturely was able to articulate to me, and this is because I was prying about it, since as her mom, I was probably the only one that really knew she was disappointed. There were actually some lessons to learn from it regarding the situation. And if I swooped in and tried to people please her to take away the disappointment, she wasn't going to learn this important lesson. So I allowed myself to be comfortable with her being disappointed, and I kept repeating to myself that there was nothing to fix. In fact, it's very okay for her to learn what it feels like to be disappointed. So if I had continued in my people-pleasing, it would not have been in her best long-term advantage. Now, my dad, with so much love, he always wants people to be happy around him. I remember him one time hearing one of my kids years ago crying, and he kept asking me why they're upset, what he could do. And I remember saying, oh, he's just going to be unhappy for a few minutes. It's okay. There's nothing to fix. Now, that was because I knew the situation. Now, there definitely are times when another person is sad and we do want to ask why. We do want to be compassionate. We just don't then want to act in a way at our expense, trying to manipulate the other person. Now, another reason that we don't like other people feeling negative emotions around us is because we aren't taught that we are not creating their emotions. The messages that society sends us is that we can control if other people are happy or sad. So with a lifetime of those messages, our brain defaults to thinking, oh no, this person isn't happy. What did I do to cause this? My spouse is angry. What did I do to make them angry? My friend is hurt. What did I do to cause this? Could we possibly have acted in a way that triggered this in another person? Yes. But we are not creating those emotions. So we can get control of a lot of people-pleasing tendencies by just mentally telling ourselves, I'm in control of what I think and feel. I'm not in control of what that person thinks and feels. In fact, I don't know what the other person is thinking. Now, another reason we dip into people-pleasing tendencies is that we have an innate desire to be liked by other people. We feel safe and secure if we belong to a group. If we sense that other people like us, we think better things about ourselves. We think we're more valuable or of more worth. So this desire that our primitive brain carries with it, if not managed, can contribute to our people-pleasing. I remember as a kid having friends who really liked dark chocolate. Now, I like milk chocolate more than I like dark chocolate, but I remember at the time a group were saying how much they liked the special dark chocolate Hershey bar. And I totally agreed with them. But inside I was like, no, I don't. But I said it to feel accepted or hoping that they would see me as part of their group. Now, that's a very simple example, but we play it out in much bigger areas of our life. We end up showing up as a fake us, not the real us. And the more we do it, the more insecure we become because we aren't totally sure who we are. And then we become less in touch with our needs and wants. And we use our energy to be consumed with maybe and just possibly how we can get other people to like us. When in fact, if we're just ourselves, people will sense this security. And then remember, our vibe attracts our tribe. And if people choose not to like us, it doesn't have to be a problem for us. But that is if we actively work on telling ourselves every day, reinforcing our value, reinforcing our worth is set every day, every hour, telling ourselves we are amazing, we are unique. Our job is to make ourselves happy, and that our real self is way more amazing and fun and true than any fake self we can project to the world. So my comment about chocolate was harmless, but what about when we sign up to do things or accept invitations when really deep inside we want to say no? When our needs and values and integrity are better suited to saying no to something or someone, but we say yes because we want someone to like us, because we think our volunteering for the school auction is what good moms do, or we overcommit to activities and such outside of our family, and then we don't have time and energy to devote to what matters most to us. And often that comes from us thinking that we will disappoint someone else, when in fact, we don't know what someone else will think. And often they're thinking way less about us anyways. When the sign-up sheet is passed around school, the sports sidelines, the email you get, why do you say yes? Really sit and ask yourself why. Of course, lots of times we say yes. We're happy to donate the time or the materials. It's completely in line with who we want to be. But, and you know the difference because the feeling of incongruence in your gut is there. There are times when you know the best answer is no. No, because you do not have the time or the energy to spare. No, because you're unable to take care of your needs and your self-care is going to suffer at the expense of others. No, because your budget can't stretch that far this month. No, because what someone else is asking doesn't line up with what you believe in. By saying yes to do what you do believe in, it becomes easier to nicely and without explanation say no and decline when saying no is what you want to do. Because saying yes at those times is being fake. Saying yes is hoping to please someone at the expense of your own resentment. In these cases, saying yes to avoid disappointing someone else creates disappointment in us. We end up disappointing ourselves. And we subconsciously tell ourselves that we don't matter. What our needs are not as important as someone else's needs. In reality, we are in charge. Our lane includes understanding and taking care of our needs, not saying yes to everything and then blaming other people in other lanes for not being considerate of our needs. They don't know our lane. They don't know our needs. They don't know our budget or challenges at home or our values. They can request things from their lane, but we are the ones that determine if the answer is yes or no from our lane. Now, one common sign that you're overcommitting is when you start complaining to other people about everything you have to do and how you can't believe so-and-so asked me to do this. That's a giant red flag to check in with yourself. Stop blaming other people for overcommitting you or asking you to do things, and question why you didn't say no at first. And when you realize the overcommitment, why didn't you back out and get someone else to help you? Is it possible you think saying no shows a sign of weakness? Saying no can be very hard in cultures where you only see people, especially women, saying yes to everything else. And even when saying no is a sign of not being maybe obedient or falling in line. A few years ago, a friend of mine told me that she had been asked by a church leader to assume a very time-consuming responsibility at church. And the culture in our church is to generally say yes when asked to do something. And my friend told me that she said no, and she very honestly and heartfeltly told the leader why she was saying no, and even her thoughts on who should have that responsibility. I have so much respect for my friend. It requires a lot of confidence, courage, and awareness of her needs, her family's needs, to be honest. And by saying no, it allowed her to be able to say yes and go overboard on the areas which are more in line with what she felt was right. If she had said yes just so that she didn't disappoint the church leader, she would have been being a fake version of herself. She would have possibly blamed that person for asking her, blaming that person for her emotions and the responsibilities, and she then would have been disappointing herself. She would have created her own resentment. Instead, she was able to sit through a courageous discussion, let the other person have whatever emotions they were having. We don't know if the other person's disappointed or upset. Maybe that person was relieved. But she did it, and she reinforced to herself that she knows her needs and that she's valuable. She reinforced her integrity and self-worth, and she has the energy to give where she wants to give. And here's something I want you to think about. When we say no, the world doesn't stop. It might be uncomfortable at first, but notice when you do it, because it's what you want to say, that it's okay. And we build relationships with other people as our real self, not the fake people-pleasing self. I trust people more who can say yes or no based on what works for them, not what I may or may not think. I know they're being honest with me in other areas, and I know I'm seeing the real them. Years ago, Bill and I had planned several trips and activities, and as things came closer, it became apparent to both of us that we needed to cancel one of the activities. And I knew from discussions with another couple that this activity meant a lot to them. They were really looking forward to it. But Bill and I had about 50 reasons why we needed to cancel, and I had to really sit with the discomfort of possibly disappointing them. At the time, I didn't have as much awareness of the coaching model and the difference between my emotions and what was creating their emotions. But I knew that if we continued with the plans, I was going to do it out of resentment and obligation and true people-pleasing. So I did the hard thing, had the hard conversation to cancel the activity, explained the hard decision, but I also stood firm in our decision and I owned every part of it. And as things played out, it truly was the best. And I've always been grateful I showed up with my real self for our friends. It only strengthened our friendship. I remember being very grateful for a friend on a committee with me who was willing to voice her concern for my idea, to give reasons why it might not work. I was so glad then for her perspective, which totally revealed to me where my blinders were. She wasn't worried about pleasing me and reinforcing that I was right at the expense of her lying. It changed the direction of our group, and it made us so much stronger and better. It's always been a great example to me of how small people-pleasing, if left unchecked, can really have bigger negative consequences. So here in 2020, people-pleasing is pretty extensive on social media. I know we're all thinking before we post something, what will other people think of this? I have to show all my teenagers any pictures I post with them in it, which I do out of respect for them and knowing I would want the same. It's a great place to practice asking, why am I posting this? Am I trying to please someone else or manipulate someone else's emotions? Or is it totally in line with my integrity? Then the big test is not to check how many people click like. Don't do it. Just don't. Teach your kids to never check how many people click that like button on their stuff. If 4 trillion people like our stuff, it doesn't matter if we don't like our stuff, y'all. Validation from the outside can never compensate for lack of internal validation. Not to mention that you don't have control over who even sees your posts. Hidden algorithms are what control that. But social media is a great place to practice being the real you. I sometimes misspell words, I make other mistakes, links don't work. It's not that I do it intentionally, but I always smile and I just remember that it makes me more relatable. And if someone else has thoughts or judgments, that really doesn't affect me. It only affects me if I have a thought about it and think my worth is challenged because of another person's opinion. And really, any energy that I spend, that you spend worrying about what other people think, why they don't like us, all of that detracts from us focusing on us liking ourselves and liking other people. It's so fun to just sit and ponder all the things we love about our closest friends and family. It's also so empowering to sit and really ponder and fill your needs because you then can help and serve so many more people from a place of abundance and confidence, not lacking and insecurity. One wonderful result of us really acting from integrity and not trying to manipulate other people's emotions is we get to relax more. We aren't stressed and anxious trying to fix some imaginary problem. We get to enjoy life more. This summer, my dad and I planned a great vacation week with family, and with such good intentions, he really wanted one person in particular to have a good time. I could see the stress and the pressure it was putting on him, and as the week approached, he said to me, we just might win this person over. And I said to him, or we might not. Our job isn't to win anyone over. And what this person or anyone else thinks or feels has a lot less to do with what we've planned and is more about the lens through which they're experiencing this time. And we don't have control over that. I saw my dad visibly relax. I saw him then be able to enjoy and authentically participate. So in the end, we get to not only show up as our real selves, but we get to drop so much anxiety about things we can't even control, which makes room for the more real parts of life. So I want to leave you with this final thought. When you find yourself crossing the line from showing up authentically to people-pleasing, stop and adjust your lens to spend more time liking yourself and liking the other person. Because in the end, this is truly the only thing you have control over. When I feel that incongruence in my gut, I get still and I ask myself what my goals are. I want to serve, I want to love, I want to be kind. That gets to be my result. If I focus on doing this in ways that share a real part of myself, I love in a stronger way. I love with my gifts shining on those around me. And even though I'm working on it daily, I'm glad my children get to see me showing up authentically and with confidence, which allows me to see and love them exactly as they are. Now, if people pleasing is an obstacle in your life and you're ready to create more confidence, do it now. Sign up for a free consult call on HeidiBenjaminson.com. Do it now and model this for your children. Learn to manage your emotions now. Let them see you learning and growing just as you are. You've always hired coaches for them. Now it's time for you to have a coach, and I'd be honored to be yours. Have a great week.